I cried through this. You're amazing. Amazing. B.G. Loper for president, that's all I'm going to say. Corey Blevins for, I don't know, vice president. You could be president too, Corey, you're astonishing. It's a gift to be with you today. I want to thank President and Mrs. Schrum for having me, this spectacular faculty. I've been observing you. You must have done this 4 million times, but you're fully present, which I'm sure you expect of your students, but you know how important this is, and you bring it. It's amazing to me. I'm going to start crying again, but this is good because this is black, and it's going to go to the dry cleaner, and it's fine. The board of directors of the school, I'd like to thank them also. And it's an honor to be here with all the folks that have won these prizes. Dr. Stanley, your chickens, your apple tree, that story killed me. I had to check if you had a wedding ring. I had a woman for you, but you've got a wife. It's all fine now. Very lucky lady. And I'm sure that she would say that you're lucky too. And I'd like to thank Mr. Gary Reedy, because I adore him already, and I just like to thank him because he has good hair. And he does God's work, of course, with the American Cancer Society. And if I may also thank Mark Graham, Monica Hell, and Linda Woodward for their help in preparation of this day. Now I'm going to get to the meat for the graduates. I want very desperately to be of service to you today, to be of some use to you. And there's a lot of talk right now about doomsday. And I hope you don't feel like last year's graduating class is handing this weary world over to you like a bad game of hot potato, although you might feel that way. There seems to be such an urgency now to everything. But I want to encourage you to take time to think. In fact, I want you to insist on it. And back in the 1940s, there was a student here named Kermit Hunter who went on to write 40 outdoor drama scripts. He was a great dramatist in America. His most famous was called Unto These Hills. And it was about the plight of the Cherokees, indigenous Americans in North Carolina. And about an hour from here, where I grew up, we had an outdoor drama too, which was starred and then eventually directed and produced by Barbara Polly, a graduate of Emory and Henry. But we also had a weekly newspaper called the Big Stone Gap Post. Every section of that town paper had a reporter who had a column. Naomi Dickinson Wells was a poet, and she was the wife of a coal miner, and she had a high school diploma from East Stone Gap High School. She never went to college. And she wrote about the realities of being a mother and the realities of raising a family in poverty, educating these children, and rooting for the safety of her husband, who was a coal miner. He was a coal miner for over 40 years. As a news reporter, her byline was Unto These Hills. And it was a really well-written diary of the comings and goings in her little, neck of the woods. But it was also a primer on faith and survival. The best writing of the last century can be found in small-town newspapers. Best-selling authors, playwrights, and nonfiction writers like Edna Ferber. This might not be a name you know, but she wrote Showboat. She won the Pulitzer for a novel called So Big. She wrote plays with George Kaufman. She was born in a newsroom in Appleton, Wisconsin, the only child in a Jewish family who went on to the greatest heights in American writing. The First Amendment is about freedom of speech, and it has a shimmering patina to it, because nothing can destroy the truth. It's like Mama said, truth always comes out. And this is much to Papa's annoyance. Truth never stays hidden for long. And truth is the basis of all great endeavors, including writing, because what is authentic and honest and real can be identified in every human being. It is indisputable. And that bond helps us understand one another, to reason with one another, to come together and work in harmony for the common good. But none of that is possible without the solid foundation of what we all recognize as the truth. Now, here's some truths. We have more ways to communicate with one another than we've ever had before, and yet human beings have never been more lonely. We need each other, and yet we're finding it harder to connect in meaningful ways. You have two gifts to give anybody in this life. Only two. The gift of yourself and the gift of your time. They're priceless gifts. And think about it. Don't squander those two gifts on the undeserving. I think you have already, sister, and you're over that, aren't you? All right. Now, on this day, graduates, you should be asking yourself, what are my values? What is sacred to me? A wedding vow? Maybe someday. The numbers I report on my tax return. A devotion to the mountains and the God that made them. A promise to care for the elderly, including your parents when they get there. Big days churn up really big questions, and they should. You've sought knowledge, and now you're going to seek your own truth. Now, when I was growing up, the word immigrant was a word of honor in our home. And it remains one in mine, as I am the granddaughter of Italian immigrants. For those of you who are immigrants here today, you have a sister here on the podium. Well, now that I think about it, I guess I'm sister to all y'all because we're all immigrants. The great thing about having moved to Southwest Virginia when I was really little is that we had these funny names and we looked different, but eventually it didn't matter. Eventually we all sounded Appalachian. Now, graduates, if you ask your parents, they're going to tell you life is difficult, but chances are you already know it. You've had your heart broken. You've failed miserably. You've already done things you're ashamed of. You've climbed out of dark places and back into the light. You've begged for forgiveness, or someone has asked it of you. Or you're just plain old panic-stricken. You're looking at life and you're afraid you won't get what you want. You're hoping for a grand adventure but scared it'll just be a bust. Or maybe you're just worried about everything. If that's the case, just find any mother in this audience and go sit by her, because that's all she does all day is worry. The greatest aspect of being a human being is our ability to be redeemed and redeemed and redeemed. We can fall and get up, we can grieve, and we can be in pieces, but we can pull ourselves back together in love again. We can be fired, and I have, and walk out of a place, and after the numbness wears off, go find another job. We can be so sick, close to death, bounce back and feel so good again, we forget the name of the disease and the doctor who cured us. We can be broke, and then we can make a little dough, and then something will come up. For me, I always break a tooth when I save a little money. Out it goes. Or your car's going to die. Or your folks will need something, and you'll provide what's needed, and then you have to start all over again. But starting all over again is all right. It gives us the opportunity to wipe the slate clean, to reinvent, to recreate, to recommit, to try again. Life is lived in the trying. Now, when you see suffering, you have one obligation, one duty, and it's to roll up your sleeves and help. Our people are suffering in Appalachia. We have an opioid crisis that's crippling our people. And if you are standing and you have a breath in you, you have to help the hopeless. The addict, the least of our brothers and sisters, they're not weak and they're not losers, nor should they ever be disparaged. We cannot abandon those who are in pain. Addiction is the act of wanting to die slowly. The addict is hoping to find a reason to live before that certain and slow death comes. The addict has lost his ability to see what they can do in a world that casts out people like paper plates. Now, when you work in a pharmaceutical company after graduation, get in there and change the culture. Show them the way. Tell them where you're from and what you know. Help them be stewards of the future, to use their power to stop the flow of drugs to these hills, to heal those who have been harmed. Corporations are just people, and they need enlightenment too. And Emory and Henry frankly gave you the fire to light your lamps. Our public libraries are in peril, and you must save them. They are the intellectual hearts and souls of our communities, but they are also job centers now. They're daycare centers. And they're social hubs, and it's the first place where they cut the funding. We need to shore up our libraries and our librarians, not close them. And where? Where is the parade and the hats for our teachers? How can we live? I'm so glad that this is vodka. How can we live in a country of this massive wealth and we don't compensate the workforce that teaches our children to read, write, and think? We have cheated our teachers for decades, but they stay on the job and they're devoted to children and their well-being because it's the work they're born to do. The least we can do is provide them a decent wage and paper and pencils, and perhaps acknowledge that they often clothe and feed the neglected children too. It's your fight now, graduates. You need to let those gluttons of privilege know, those guys that make the decisions, let them have it. Now, if you ask any person in this room over the age of 40, and there's not too many, you look good. I like to come home. People look young here. You ask anybody in this room over the age of 40, and they're going to tell you with certainty that they've had the dark night of the soul. The wife left them, husband died, a child died, a health crisis, parents ill. And we're celebrating you on this day of graduation. But we're also thinking, you got a life ahead where you got to balance all of this. And not just in your own life, but in the lives of those you love and care about. A strong spiritual center is essential for survival in this world. Your personal relationship with God is your business. But I hope you're open for business. Good vodka. Pray, meditate, and when you've prayed and meditated and you think you can't pray anymore, you're going to have to pray some more. If you storm the heavens, eventually, when you believe you're being heard, healing begins, and when healing begins, that's when change happens. Help the person that doesn't ask for it. The ones who ask for it are often running a racket. But that's all right, too. Somebody has to support the rackets. I'm going to ask you to go deep. Enough with the cult of the Kardashians. Stop following them on Instagram. They should not be our gods. Make God your God again. I don't mind if you take out your phones and delete them right now. And when you delete them, you can add art. As the beautiful poet Fran Culing Stout said, I am style, I am fashion, I am art. Meaning I don't look to someone else to define me or tell me how to move through the world. I celebrate myself, my ideas, instincts, faults, quirks, and flashes of brilliance. I own them because they express who I am. Be a steward of the arts, because all art is the emotional landscape of a culture. It's the feelings of a culture. If we pay attention to the feelings of a culture, we're going to understand one another. I want you to pay attention in the world around you. Beware of those people that can never be satisfied. The people who have appetites that cannot be satisfied by one sunset, or one car, or one woman, or one man. You know who they are. You're talking to them at a party and they're looking over your shoulder in case somebody better looking to talk to comes through the door. When you're from Appalachia, you don't play that game. You go Appalachian on them. And you say, ain't nobody better coming through that door. But I don't much like who's already arrived. See ya. The people who look outside themselves for approval and meaning because they feel less than, avoid them, because it's the insecure person who's the most dangerous. Stand for your values, confident in who you are instead of worrying if you're good enough. Remember, you just spent 4 years practicing greatness. Be of these hills. To be Appalachian and to have had the Appalachian experience is the same thing. It means you never know a stranger. You lead with kindness. You follow it up with gratitude. You say what you mean. You do what you say. You're a person of integrity. Your handshake is your bond. You honor the land. You appreciate beauty in all its forms. And that includes that 2018 Camaro you got your eye on. I know you got on that. It means you know what it's like on an autumn day when the sun is going down on the Emory and Henry campus and the air has the scent of vanilla smoke and the leaves are the colors of canary diamonds and rubies. It means you walk in the world with an understanding of what it means to be misunderstood. It means you walk in the world with the knowledge that it's going to be your job to correct that misunderstanding with your own integrity, dignity, and promise. No one can take away what you learned here. Emma Grace Thompson, who wrote the Saltville Massacre, and Jacob Caudle, who wrote A Story of Place, or Miranda Jean Stiano, who wrote The Fading Coal Industry and Its Impact on Mental Health in Southern Appalachia, or Amber Lee Robinson's opus, Pride of Place and the Appalachian Student. You wrote about us. You wrote our stories. You know your people. Now show us a way forward. With the lineage of the mighty Scots-Irish, Cherokee, Seminole, and the Melungeons, the magnificent Melungeons, the magnificent and beautiful mixed race, African American, the Middle Europeans, with names like these. Think about it. Hawkins, Minton, Poole, Knox, Tilson, Blevins, Zirkle, Cashin, Sheets, Lambert, from places in this Commonwealth like Floyd, Lynchburg, Marion, Damascus, Newport News, Blue Ridge, Chesterfield, and Saltville. I know how to say it. From over in the mountain in Johnson City, Tennessee. From as far away as London, England, by way of France. And all the way from Cameroon came you. 4 years ago, you needed Appalachia, and now she needs you. You must get up, rise up, and focus. And when somebody asks you where you went to college, you stand tall and say, Emory and Henry. In the prosperous, life-giving, music-shaking, soul-quaking, intellect-making hills of Southwest Virginia, in Appalachia, where America found her voice, because unto these hills, through them and over them came you. You will carry the story of what you have learned here, the friendships you have made, and what this experience meant to you. You're going to give back, because that's what John Wesley would hope you'd do. But with your ideas, vision, humor, and grace, you become the definition of what it means to be Appalachian in the world. They can't take away your learning, or your values, or your history, unless you let them. Be secure in the person you have become at Emory and Henry. Because all I see from this seat up here is greatness. And I hope God blesses you all the long, healthy, happy days of your lives. Thank you for having me today. Thank you. I'm sweating like an animal now.